Hey guys, hope everybody's doing well out there. Welcome back to Envision Prototypes. I'm Nick, if you're new to our channel. And next to me here, I've got a 1963 Thunderbird. For those of you who are fans of bullet birds, this is the only model that comes with a front flip hood. All the other ones flip the other way. It's pretty cool, eh? And I trust it enough to keep my fingers here in this pinch point. Why? Because we're using the original hinges that came from the Thunderbird, just in a different location to get this hood up. In this episode, we're going to be making a little change with this grill. Down below here, there used to be this push bar or overrunner that bolted to the bottom of the bumper. And with all of this going on, bar here, it looked a little busy. Now, I'm not sure what the designers intended back in the day, based on safety requirements, but this is a custom car, and we're going to make a few custom changes to this custom car. So for now, we're going to put this aside, and I'm going to bring this hood down. There's a little bit of rubbish up front, but as you can see, it closes really well. These little corners, we're going to have to take and alter the fenders on the inside to make it all work out. Now, if we stand back and look at the front, and I'll put up an original one because some people may not be able to visualize all the missing elements. Looking at the headlights, kind of looks a little bug-eyed, like surprised. We're going to make a few little changes to it to give it a more menacing, more aggressive look while still retaining the flavor of a bullet bird front end. Just going to simplify things a little bit. We have the trim that goes around the top of the hood, and I think I showed you before, but it's really pitted. And there's a lot of rust on the underside, as well as the overrunner or push bar that's got some severe rust on the underside. Now, being that the rest of the car is tailored fit, we've removed all the grommets that used to fit between the bumper and the fender, and everything just kind of tightened up. I want to do the same with this front grille bumper assembly. We're going to take and cut the center section out, just remove it. And rather than come up and around and down, we're going to come straight across to a point and then blend back into this side here. Sort of like this, but with this shape. What's the official word for this thing? Put it down in the comments, I'd appreciate that. We're going to take these two horns and extend them down, get rid of these bolts. All the bolts will be smooth and shaved. And from this center bar, we're going to come down. In this area, there's going to be an intake, cold air intake for the engine, as well as the original saving light. We're going to retain that. That's basically where we're going with this front end. Let's just get into it and make it happen. Please don't judge until you see the finished result. Not sure who did these up, but I must have had my Wheaties that morning. Ah, it's a big hole. I could use that for a different project. Probably not. Okay, so we've got these bumper brackets here that are now useless to us up above. So we'll probably blow them off. I need to get the headlights in. These parts here, the bezels in. All this chrome on this car is pretty crunchy. That's what happens up here in Canada. I don't think I can squeeze this into there. Well, maybe if we bend it a bit. So we can't leave that like that. That's going to chatter when you're driving. Let's get the trim on the hood. With these changes, I don't want it to lose its complete identity. I just want to refine it a little bit. They've got places for fasteners there and there, but no holes, only here. It doesn't look like they've been ever used either. Very strange. We're gonna have to fit this a little bit better to the body. It's good steel, crunchy fenders. So we'll have to fix all that after. Now this steel up front here, you can see if you zoom in, that it's really rusty. The top's rusty, the flanges are rusty. There's no point in restoring the sheet metal until we knew what we're doing at the front in case we need to make any changes. Once the direction's been set and everything's fitted, then we go ahead and rebuild it. Either the original way or the new way. Our gaps are still good here. Get this bezel in. As you can see, we've got the bezels in. The hood, we can drop that back down. To create this bar, we're gonna have to use the same material that they did, and that's 1/8 plate. And I just wanna get a handle on this. Call it 46 inches. Okay, that'll work. He's got a curve to it, so I'm gonna straighten it out and put a peak into it instead. All right, let's see how this looks. Too much. And it's not something we can get into the brake and bend up. It has to be hand formed. Okay, there we go. Get some clamps on that. It might take a few minutes to mock something up or to plan something out, but then once you get rolling, the work just happens. You have to make sure this bar is horizontal. We don't want to dip in it. A smiley face. Why did you say something? That's better. Nope, too high. That's the problem building a car from 2 feet away. You need to get back. Take a look at it from a distance. Much better. This is just for mock-up. Okay, and instead of having this big opening down here, we're going to break that up with those 2 vertical bars. This is an extremely wide car. If we have a lot of horizontal expanses, it's very wide. Now I'm just looking at this part here. Very interesting shape to it. All right. See, this fits in really well with this shape here. They just had it down lower. We don't need all this down below. Or do we? No, we don't. See, that's why it's good to look at stuff before you start cutting. just show you the chrome here. See that? It just peels right off. It's no good. That's why we made the decision to do what we're doing instead of fixing all this. Now, just looking at the location, the original, versus what I think will look better if we space this out a little bit. In terms of covering up these bolts, we're going to take and weld the bolts in to this structure, and then the brackets will bolt to that. We can basically take, and up to this step here, just trim the whole thing back. Top, we can create a piece to go from here to here, blend it in, and on the bottom, see, the radius is already done for us, so there's no sense redoing stuff. On the back side, we have a mount for the license plate bracket. For this to sit in correctly over there, I can't thread it through the end, so I'm going to take the air chisel and just knock this out. Now the fun begins. We have to blend this into that using some freshly made pieces, and then take those ends that used to come down and blend them into the bottom. Let's clamp this and start mocking those pieces up just to get an idea as to where we're going. I can see it up here, but I need to see it in front of me as well in case we need to make some changes. So I've set this new bumper up in such a way that it sticks out just past the front edge of the hood. We don't want this to be the bumper, we want this to be the bumper if you come up against someone. Okay. Get the micrometers on this, make sure that we are where we need to be. Yep, we are. Let me put a small tack there. We don't want the tacks to interfere with the pieces when we start welding these sections in and then end up getting into trouble that way. Okay, so I'm just gonna double check everything, looking good. Yep, perfect. These bezels are gonna have to be adjusted to allow for this new center bar to come through. Not sure yet exactly how. I've got a few proposed lines drawn. One is to definitely remove this part here because it's gonna come into the grill, not gonna look good. Down through here, it's going to interfere with the flange that turns inward. We'll get to that. Let's mock up the ends, the dividers of the overrunner, the old overrunner, and divide up the area for the signal light and air intake, or brake vent cooling duct. I might serve two purposes there. We've got some bolts that are in the way. We're not going to use them anymore. It's roughly going to sit just in there like that. It's way too high. I also have to split this and roll this portion outward to pick up this new bar, or this new center bar on this side. And this flange here, that's going to be trimmed off. We don't need it anymore. Yeah. This bumper is going to be welded solid. I'm not going to rely on bolts to help hold things together. The only place we're going to be bolting this bumper on is to the body, and incorporating studs on the inside surface for the brackets to bolt to. Don't want to weld the bracket to the bumper itself. Okay guys, so this next part is going to be a little bit tricky to get these situated exactly where I want them. If I look at the edge of the headlight bezel, drop a straight line down, that red mark right there, that's where I want the outside edge of this new piece to sit. New old piece. So if we kind of sight down through that, right there, that's where it's going to be. Right there, maybe a little bit over a bit more. And as you can see, it's not quite sitting up there, so I'm going to take and cut and bend that part out and then create a really tiny filler piece. Like it could have sat there originally, but it was way too upright. I want a little sleeker look. Looking good. We will have to create a filler piece in there to blend in to the horizontal. Maybe, or we could take the horizontal and blend into here. Ah, darn! I scratched the chrome. Alright, let's get our clamp. Clampy, clampy. And yeah, that's sitting like that. I should actually have it sitting like that. Like that, like that, like that. Yeah, right there. That's the tricky part, where you kind of have to eyeball it where you want it just to get things started. Okay. Let's try that. Oh, shit. Okay, so if we line things up like this, I need to be able to scribe this edge. If I do this and scribe it, we're going to be in the wrong spot. So this has to sit up here like that. Kind of like that, yeah. And let's throw a line right there, just as to help us align next time. Like that, like that. That's where our first cut is going to be. Right there. And then we'll have to duplicate this cut on this side. And we have to make sure that this isn't tipped one way or the other. It has to sit level. So that's where the time is going to take to kind of scribe and trim these pieces to that bumper end. Well, how about them apples, guys? Those two overrunner ends have been reshaped and tacked in place. I found the signal light bezel, this thing here, and that fits up inside. I do have to make a slight modification with that support web that we installed. It needs to be reconfigured a little bit, just trimmed and bent out of the way. This will slide right in there, just like that. And then we'll create another bezel on this side, after this has been completed, for the grill. And that'll funnel air up inside to the duct. But right now, I want to get some 1/8 plate out and start shaping these pieces and get them mocked up. Okay, so got the dimensions that we need to start cutting these pieces up. I just want to mention a couple episodes ago when we were doing the gas door, I bumped one of the settings on the camera, and for whatever reason it started doing this in and out type of thing. I guess trying to either focus on my eyes or focus on the surround or the background area. And I apologize for that. You know, I didn't realize I did it until I got into editing the video that I realized, oh, that happened. And you know, most of the time I'm good with that kind of thing, catching it, making sure all the settings are right. But this time it just happened. And some people really got into some, let's say, ridiculous name calling, to the point that even YouTube was catching the comments. I'm really sorry about that. It happened, and I have to pay more attention now, I guess, to make sure that I don't bump anything wrong. But a lot of times I'm focused on what I'm doing here and not behind the camera. Okay, let's make these pieces. Now when it comes to bending up 1/8 plate, for those guys that don't have a huge press to, you know, get the job done, there's always another way around it. If you have a smaller handbrake, you can just squeeze by getting it done, but you got to take it easy. I'll show you how to do that. You don't want to break your brake. The other thing is you can always use a big hammer and a heavy dolly, as again I'll show you. So let's get into this. I've made a few highlight lines as to where the curvatures need to happen. So if I just stuck this in here, clamped it, and just brought it up, more than likely I'll strain this thing, I'll bend something, I'll snap something. Don't want that to happen. This is a decent brake, hard to find them anymore. But what I did was I backed off everything, just made it really loosey-goosey, and back this fence off from the front edge because I need to allow for some material to come up a little bit. I don't want to strain anything, and I don't want sharp creases in this either. So I'm just going to pop this in. It's going to be a little bit tricky because, like I said, everything's loose. See, I can't even clamp the piece. All I want to do is kind of hold it in place and then bring this up just a little bit. That's it. I mean, it's so minute. Oh, you can see that a little more than I expected. But anyway, you can see it's not very much. That's all I need. I don't want sharp bends. I'll probably have to flatten that out. That's all I want, just a little bit. Bring that in, bring that up a little bit. Keep backing this off. And a circle is really an infinite number of straight lines. And that's what we're doing here. Not an infinite number, but many number of straight bends. The other thing we have to watch out for is this center bar on the bumper starts off with more or less a straight roll down to a little sharper at the ends. There's a taper, so I have to take that into account. And as you can see, based on the way I've set this, I have a sharper bend here, softer bend there. So we're on our way. I'm just tweaking it based on what we need. And then we'll fine tune with a hammer and dolly. Or a slapper and dolly. Now, that's it. Nothing broke. That's how loose it is. You saw that just drop down. Nothing broke, nothing got strained. You've got to use your head, not your muscle sometimes. So I'll just show you where we're sitting, but this point is sticking up too high. So I have to take and bring it down more like that. But what I was talking about over there at the brake, this is more or less soft radius coming down. And as we come into here, this is a little bit sharper. Let's fine tune this using a hammer and dolly and get this in place. I need this radius right here to bring that front nose down. Okay, so here we have our, what I'm going to say, finished piece, because I think we are matching up. Now this is sitting on top of this piece here, I understand that, but I'm not able to set this in place because of the bezels. We have we have this lip that's sticking out past. It's fine here, but we're going to take and cut that off, trim it back, and we'll probably make a separate trim piece that'll sit in there and finalize the end of the grill. I'm not sure how it's going to be yet. I need to get rid of that and get the grill in to see how it's going to conform. We need to slide in past and get into here. It's going to be close. I'm going to take a chunk out of this piece so we can slide this in, and we'll start fitting it through the bezel. Now that's sitting where it needs to. The bezel is a little bit loose. I don't think I tightened it. No, it's just sitting there. 2 bolts at the top. I want to make sure that we don't have a corner there that's exposed. So I'm trying to visualize this angle. That has to go in behind anyway. And that bumps up to there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it back here. We'll creep in on it. Test fit number 1. It's a 1/2 inch. If it's a 1/2 inch, then we need to cut back 1/4. We'll try it again. Ooh, that's looking good. That's lining up there. This line shoots through, so it doesn't really matter if I do a bit of a bezel or bevel there. Bevel around the bezel. We need that to be in line. I need to radius this a bit more. We're not moving mountains. Some people think that they can draw attention by doing some big changes. I bet 99 or 98% of the people that look at this when it's done, this front end, will think it came from the factory this way. Very nice. We're just about there. We've got some trimming to do, but for the most part, everything's coming in very, very well. Like I mentioned, I need to roll this down. I'll show you how we're going to do that in a second. And up front here, I'm going to cut that away so that this drops down. And then we'll put a couple of tacks, get over there, get that one in. And then we'll take the whole car, flip it upside down so we can work on the underside. I'm just going to pinch the very edge in the vise and not hit it with a hammer. Use a slapper and just bump it on a gradual bend. Okay, grab this. Let's go. That's what you call cutting and pasting. Except we paste using a welding machine. Okay, I got a flat spot here. I'd bring the camera in, but you guys don't think you'd ever see it. Oh, you can see it from the end. Curves down, it's flat, and it curves down. I just got to bump that spot right there. Give it a more of a... There we have our top piece. I can put a couple tacks on it, but there's something that has to be done before we do that. Okay, I've got the second piece rolled, similar to the first one. We'll get this installed after I track this. Hope you Thunderbird guys don't get too upset by me cutting up these bezels. Promise is going to be worth it. Okay, so I've got these two pieces tacked in. Now we're going to level it using a nice thick, heavy chunk of flat bar and some vice grips. Hopefully we can sneak in from behind, clamp everything, bring it up, and tack it. And if I put my bar in such a way, I can get to the back as well as the front to get that accomplished. Come on. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. How do I get in here? Okay. So that's level, but it's also twisted. I might try and actually use a different style of vice grip. Use one of these with very flat end. I need to bring the back up, level it out, and then clamp it. And just like that, we got it clamped. I can probably get this in from the front. That's much better. Ooh. Same thing there. One thing I can't stand hearing is, that's good enough. Drives me crazy. You know what? These aren't going to cut it. Gotta bring out the big guns. All right, that's good enough. I changed my approach. Initially, I had this flat bar located in the center, as you saw, and tried to bring the ends up. But it still had a bit of a jog in it, and I wasn't happy with that. So, took everything apart, shuffled everything to one side, pulled in from the end, as well as the highest point in the middle. We're gonna level one side. Move everything over here, level this side. Right now I'm going to put some really solid tacks on here so nothing moves. Take the bar out, weld it, and then we can get to the underside. Once I'm happy with the top, it has to be straight, because if we start welding in these little pieces down here and it's crooked, you're going to have a devil of a time trying to get it straight. Let's take it apart and see if anything moves. A little bit over there. You see that this point right here picked up. It's no longer flat. I'm going to show you. My fingernail bumps up against it. So I have to take and squeeze that down, put a tack there. Right now I'm just using the MIG just for my tacks. It's a little bit easier just to nail it and then weld it up after, at least for me. Yes. Yeah, that's a dolly I use for fender lips. And here it's working out perfectly to sit right in there, back this up, hammer it down. Lovely. Okay, so the top is all welded up. I'm gonna go in from the underside, get that little piece in, get that little piece in. Weld up the bull nose, and then we'll work back into there. Like I mentioned, the bumper just sticks out past the hood. Yeah, that's gonna look good. I'm really getting excited now. Just a matter of time before we get that grille installed, or at least mocked up. Okay, let's shape up these bottom little pieces. Give the nose a bit of a tight curl. Tighter curl, I should say. And we'll slacken off the vise. And that's going to sit up just like that in there. Piece basically sits there on its own. When you fit up parts, it should be just like that. Tack there, little tack there. Let's move on to these blank spots and get those in. And I think that's going to be it for the major modifications on this bumper, except for the grille, but we'll get to that in a bit. Don't get me wrong, I want to test it out, but I want to get this all filled in first. The appearance of this bumper, the top portion, when you look down, almost resembles that of a Mustang of the same era, you know, 64, 65, the shape of it. So we want this to maintain a Ford flavor. So there's our pressed paper template. It's going to sit in there just like that. And now we're going to take and make this out of sheet metal, form it, create that little bull nose, get it tacked in. I think we're ready to weld everything up. I've got these pieces installed on tacks. This little filler piece, the bull nose has been massaged into a softer radius, blended into here. This here tacked, that's been welded, as well as the top. So we have all the undersides to do. All right guys, so thanks so much for watching and catch you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this channel with your friends.